One of the things that I need to clear up a little bit is the guest policy. Evidently, the guest policy was massively confusing for at least one person, perhaps some more, so maybe we'll reword it. But for clarity, the guest policy, where we announce that we're not interested in people who have promoting theism as their primary purpose, that guest policy is about being an in-studio guest. We thought that this would be clear since the entire premise of the show is to have people who want to promote theism call in and have discussions. Yeah. And so this in-studio guest policy was put in place because you can have your own shows. But it wasn't, it didn't have anything to do with callers. So maybe we'll reword that just a little bit. But Cy Ten Bergengate and I have had this kind of back and forth over the past week, which is kind of amusing. Now he's claiming that I lied and or suggesting that I'm a liar by selectively reading from an email and then. But anyway, one of his concerns is that he didn't think he'd be treated fairly. And when I said this, he said, "That's not what my objection was. I just figured you'd hang up on me." What the hell did you think I meant by not being treated fairly? I know what your objection is. You think that I'd hang up on you. So let me talk a little bit about how and why I hang up on people. And by the way, I'm not the only person here. Matter of fact, I'm gone quite a lot, so there are other people you could call in and talk to. I hang up on people when they're debating dishonestly, when they start repeating points, when they fail to acknowledge points and just simply move on to one other thing, when the conversation becomes completely non-productive, and when I have no hope that this is going to go anywhere or be beneficial to anybody. That's why. And so if Cy thinks that he's likely to be hung up on, I think he's saying that he's either going to argue dishonestly or have an unproductive conversation, et cetera. Because if you take a look at it, our show's kind of unusual. I don't think you can find another call-in show, maybe not anywhere in the world, on any media, that allows the callers to speak as much as our show does. I mean, usually if you call into a radio show, you ask your question, they disconnect you, and then they talk about it after you hang up on the air. And barring interviews and guests and stuff, that's about it for call-in shows. On the contrary, we have callers all the time, some of whom have taken up entire shows, and not just apologists like Matt Slick or Ray Comfort, who, by the way, Ray seemed to think he was treated entirely fairly on the show. And if Cy's real concern was that he'd be treated unfairly or that we would hang up on him in a dishonest fashion rather than because he deserves it, then it seems to me the solution would have been to call in, get hung up on, and then present that actual evidence of us being dishonest in hanging up on it, instead of just presuming that that's the case. But when you're talking to a presuppositionalist, presuming that that's the case is their entire way of life.